I've walked 1,000 miles in chains, but my spirit was never bound. You know, when I look back on my life, it's like watching a movie unfold, a story of struggle, determination, and triumph. I was born into slavery, but I died a free woman, a landowner, and a pillar of my community. This is the story of how I went from being property to being a force for change. I came into this world in 1818 in Georgia. No last name, no rights, no future to call my own. Just another piece of property on a plantation. You know, from the moment I could walk, I was put to work. The fields became my playground, the overseer's whip my constant companion. As I grew, I learned the ways of healing. Midwifery became my calling, though I wasn't allowed to control my own body. The irony wasn't lost on me, you know? I brought new life into the world while my own life wasn't my own. When I was 30, my world shifted. Robert Smith, the man who claimed to own me, decided to move his entire household to California. And by household, I mean his family and his slaves. We were to walk, yes, walk from Mississippi to California. 2,000 miles of dust, danger, and despair. I remember the blisters on my feet, the ache in my bones, the relentless sun beating down. But with each step, a tiny spark of hope grew inside me. California was a free state. Maybe, just maybe, this journey would lead to more than just a change of scenery. Arriving in California was like stepping into another world. The promise of freedom hung in the air like a sweet perfume. But Robert Smith had other plans. He tried to keep us in bondage, ignoring the laws of this new land. My heart sank as I realized that even here, in this so-called land of the free, my chains were not so easily broken. You know, it was then that I faced the biggest decision of my life. Do I accept this fate, or do I risk everything for a chance at true freedom? With the help of free Black residents and some brave abolitionists, I made my move. We petitioned the court in secret, knowing that discovery could mean severe punishment, or worse. The day of the hearing, my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. I stood before the judge, barely breathing as he considered my fate. And then, those beautiful words, "You are free." Just like that, the chains fell away. I wasn't property anymore. I was a person. Bridget Biddy Mason. Freedom opened doors I never knew existed. I became a nurse and a midwife, using the skills I'd honed in slavery to heal and help others. Every penny I earned, I saved. Not for luxuries, mind you, but for something far more precious, a legacy. In 1866, just 10 years after gaining my freedom, I bought my first piece of land in Los Angeles. Me, a former slave, now a property owner. It was a small plot on Spring Street, but to me, it was the foundation of a dream. That first piece of land was just the beginning. I kept working, kept saving, kept investing. Before long, I was one of the wealthiest Black women in Los Angeles. But you know what? Wealth without purpose is just greed. So I put my money to work for my community. I founded the first African Methodist Episcopal Church, providing a spiritual home for my people. I opened my own home to the sick and homeless, offering care and shelter to those in need. And despite never learning to read or write myself, I made sure others had the chance to learn, supporting schools and education initiatives. When I passed away in 1891, thousands came to say goodbye. Black, white, rich, poor, they all knew what I stood for. Today, there's a memorial in Los Angeles, a wall that tells my story. But my real legacy isn't written in brick and mortar. It's alive in every person who dares to dream, who fights for justice, who rises from nothing to build something beautiful. I am Biddy Mason, from slave to savior, from property to philanthropist. My story shows the power of resilience, the strength of the human spirit, and the transformative nature of freedom. Remember, no matter where you start in life, you have the power to write your own ending, so who will you choose to be? If my story has moved you, share it. Let's keep the conversation going. What do you like about Biddy Mason? Like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more.